Hey y'all, I want to spend a few minutes today talking about what to ask for from a seller during the due diligence process for a potential acquisition. Now, if you're buying a website or a group of digital assets, you obviously have a lot of third-party tools at your disposal to make an informed decision around what you're buying, but you really need that first-party data access both on the financials and non-financial side to get a complete picture around what you're buying, whether or not you want to buy it, and also how much you want to pay for it. So there's a lot of different stuff that you can ask for, and I think it's important to really understand not only what to ask for, but also when to ask for it during the due diligence process. So that's what we're going to cover in today's video. Now, keep in mind that every single situation is different, so there's going to be some information that for certain cases I'm not going to cover here that you need to get pre-LOI or post-LOI. And some of the things that I'm covering today, maybe you don't need at all based on what you're buying. So, like I said, every situation is different. Just make sure to get with your technical teams, your corporate development team, and really get your laundry list together around what you want to ask for at each different stage and how that's going to help you in that due diligence process. So let me just jump into my screen here and we'll go over some of the basics that I like to look for and ask for both on the non-financial side and the financial side from the seller. So I've separated out my recommendations into pre-LOI or letter of intent and post-LOI. Obviously, the more information that you get on the onset, the more quote-unquote real your LOI is going to be. And that letter of intent can mean different things to different folks. It could mean basically nothing to some buyers, and it could be as close to a binding agreement as possible for others. So really just understanding where your comfort level is for your business across your corporate development team, your leadership team, on what information you need to get at those different stages in order to feel comfortable with an offer that you put on the table is an important step in the process of really just making sure that you guys are aligned during the diligence process. And just one last note on pre and post LOI activities. You don't have to diligence every single thing pre-LOI, but you should be digging deep on the stuff that matters to the business most and is essentially the reason that you're buying the website or group of assets and really what informs most of your valuation for the business. So digging into what to ask for from the seller, starting with non-financials. First off, I really like to get access to pretty much all analytics for the site or assets that I am looking at purchasing, starting with Google Search Console access if it's a very SEO-driven acquisition. Now, this is going to give you obviously a lot of diagnostics on the site, but also really help you validate what keywords and landing pages are driving the traffic to the site that you can match up with your due diligence using a lot of the third-party tools that I've gone over in some previous videos. Now, if you're pre-LOI and assuming post-NDA at this stage in the process, the seller still might hesitate to give you full kind of read-only access to their GSC profile. If they hesitate, there is a couple of ways that you could potentially get around this hesitation. So first is you could potentially do a live video walkthrough. So ask the seller if they can hop on a video call and basically guide you through to look at, hey, I just want to check X, Y, and Z reports and really understand or verify my assumptions around what keywords and pages are driving traffic, if there's any potential security issues or manual penalties that are against the site, and anything like that. You can also ask for downloads and reports from those different areas of GSC. So ask for screenshots from reports that you want to see and ask for CSV downloads, however they potentially want to give those to you from those keyword and landing page reports to be able to verify a lot of your assumptions that you've done during the due diligence process using third-party tools. This also is the same way that you can get around similar hesitations for things like Google Analytics or any other analytics platforms. So those are things that I also like to ask for. Basically, whatever platform they're using for website analytics, make sure you ask for access to that platform and any other channels that are meaningful to the business. So if they are big on email marketing, if they're big on YouTube, if they're big on any social platforms, asking for access to the analytics to those guys to be able to dig into how big those audiences are, what engagement looks like, and really verifying your due diligence assumptions for those channels is important to ask for. And again, if they hesitate, ask for downloads, ask for video walkthroughs, ask for screenshots of that stuff, and you should be able to get to a decent point where you feel confident enough to potentially get to an LOI if you really like the asset and have a strong investment thesis for buying it. Next, I'll ask for a really detailed description of their tech stack that's used to run the site and the business. Now, I've covered in a previous video how you can use some third-party tools to essentially get at what they are using to power their entire business, but it's really nice to just get some notes from the firsthand seller on what they're using, also context on why they're using it, the state of it. Is it in complete disarray? Did they just build some potential custom tech onto their site or content management system that enables a lot of really cool functionality? Is there a lot of potential upkeep needs around their tech stack? Really just getting context and notes from the seller on pretty much everything that powers their business is going to give you a good purview into, okay, what types of resources, if I do buy this site and business, do I need to make sure that I deploy to maintain and improve those things? And then also, what are potential things that you want to deprecate or move over to your internal systems? And the last major thing that I'll ask for is team roles and responsibilities. This obviously gives you a great view on who does what and who you potentially want to bring over with the acquisition. Where do you have overlap in terms of responsibilities and skill sets, and just understanding how to resource the business post-acquisition if it is something that you're going to execute on. So I'll have some more videos on really diving deep into team responsibilities, team transitions, and really the people aspect of M&A, but really great to get a write-up from the seller on pretty much everything that has to do with resourcing the business from an HR perspective. And then post-LOI, really simple here. I'm honestly just trying to get access to pretty much everything that I didn't get access to pre-LOI. So if they were hesitant on read-only access and giving you user access to GA, GSC, any other analytics platforms, or whatever else that you asked for, this is definitely the time where they should be giving you user access to that stuff, because you have demonstrated and signed an intent to buy their business for a certain valuation. This is also the point where you should get likely CMS access in most cases, so you can kind of dig into the back end and see for yourself how content's being published and how the site is being run. Now, this may not be feasible in all cases. So let's say you are buying a public company, as an example, or there is a lot of sensitivity around the current team knowing that their business is up for sale. There could be some scenarios like that where that CMS access is not possible until the deal actually closes. So in those cases, again, I'll ask for live video walkthroughs with the leadership team, or screenshots, downloads, those types of things to really get a good perspective on everything that is inside that CMS and how the site is run. But again, there can be some situations where that might not be possible until the deal closes. Moving over to financials, I'm going to keep this pretty high level given the fact that I'm not an FP&A professional. This is really just based on my experience from doing a lot of M&A diligence on big deals and buying sites myself. But really starting pre-LOI, just asking for financial statements is really where to start here. So typically those are going to be adjusted or summarizations of the raw financial statements, which typically come post-LOI. So just be prepared for these being snapshots, summaries, or potentially released in phases as y'all get more and more serious about buying the business. But generally, you really want to look for financial or ask for financial statements for the last few years, or summaries of those for the last few years, so you can get a sense of trends over time. Additionally, I'll really try and ask for stuff that ties that into traffic performance or just general upper funnel data on the business. So I want to look for things like revenue by ad type. So that could be things like affiliate marketing. That could be things like homepage banner placements, sidebar ads, direct advertising, really any sort of way that they monetize. Getting a revenue breakdown into those different buckets will help you understand what the monetization looks like on the site and what opportunities and risks there are on that side of the business. Revenue by partner, also important. So if they have a bunch of different affiliate partners or direct advertising partners or whatever else, getting a breakdown to see, are they potentially overexposed to one partner, or do they have a really nice diversification across a bunch, and what sorts of opportunities are there for negotiating better deals with certain partners. And then revenue by page as well, so you can tie that into traffic performance and understand, are they potentially overweighted on any one or small group of landing pages in terms of driving the majority of the revenue, or again, are they nicely diversified across a large set of pages, and where are there opportunities to improve revenue per visit, or however you measure monetization efficiency across the site. Ideally, cross sections of pretty much all this information is even better. So essentially, the more granular that you can get, the better. I already mentioned longevity of these reports. So ideally for financial statements, you're getting more than 2 years, ideally 3 to 4 years. But for some of these revenue breakdowns by these different dimensions, that might not be available for more than maybe a year or two. So get as much as you can at this stage. And you can also set up a data room to manage access and to all of this sensitive financial information to make sure you keep that stuff locked down between their leadership team and your due diligence team internally. And then post-LOI, again, pretty simple here, really just asking for any sort of pre-LOI statements that you were not granted access to, and getting all of that juicy, raw financial statements that you potentially got summaries of pre-LOI. So those are the basics on what I typically ask for. Like I said earlier, every single situation is different, so make sure to get with your SEO team, technical teams, corporate development team, leadership team to really understand what are all of the pieces of information that you need to put the puzzle together and complete a really thorough due diligence on whatever you're buying and a strong investment thesis around whether or not you want to buy it. So y'all let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video.